Hey guys, it's BSRC here for RC Nightmare. Well, we've run our Spartan boat a bunch of times now trying to get you guys that awesome footage you've been waiting for, and it's time to do a little bit of maintenance on it. This holds true for any RC boat out there, so if you're watching you got something else, keep an eye out. You want to do the same kind of preventive maintenance to your boat to make sure you get a lot of long run time out of it and high performance. So really on boats, all that's needed to be done is lubricate your drive shaft and your drive strut bushings. What is that? Well, your drive shaft is what connects your motor to your propeller. In this case, we have a cable that runs through the boat out to the rudder. And then right down here on the rudder, on the strut for the rudder, for the drive shaft, we have two brass bushings that need to be lubricated as well. So after you're running this thing in the water, these things are drying out over time, and if you don't take care of it now, you're going to have a seized drive shaft or everything will just rust tight. So this is very important. On the Spartan boat, Traxxas has made it pretty easy for us because we have this nice power module to work with. So all we have to do is remove these two screws here. Back them out with a 2.5mm wrench. And I've removed some of our cooling hoses just to give you guys a clearer view of what I'm doing here. Not necessary to do this maintenance though. So we remove these two screws. And now we have to loosen the lock collet that's holding the drive shaft. So if you didn't throw away your nice part bag, Traxxas actually included two 10mm wrenches, which is what you need to get that off. All you do is you take one, sit it on one side of the lock collet. I'm going to angle this so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. One here and one here. And just a couple turns to loosen up the cable. Okay, I got mine nice and loose. Now we can grab the whole power module. You're going to lift up and angle it just a little bit and then pull towards the front of the boat. Just like that. You can see it let free. My cable is let off the collet. And we're just going to pull this. Oh, easy to forget. Got to get our steering tie rod disconnected as well. This is another 2.5mm wrench. Quick back that out. All right, now that that's free, this whole module is going to come out for us. Just like so. For now, we can set this aside. Here we have the two little blocks that hold that in place. Those are what the two screws go into. Set those aside. Take care not to lose them. Now you can see we're left with our drive cable. Now this is going to pull out the back of the boat pretty easily. You just grab it from the prop side and pull it out like so. There you have it. You can see ours is a little rusty. We want to try to avoid this. So what I'm going to do is take some contact cleaner and clean this off real quick. Just give it a quick spray down. That'll help to get all the rust off of there. Nice and clean. We'll set that aside for now. Now we're going to focus on our drive strut right here. This is what holds that shaft on the back of the boat. So there's two bushings, one on front, one in the rear. I'm going to dry these off with the same contact cleaner I'm using. Just give it a quick spray. Also in your parts package, Traxxas is giving you the proper oil that you need to re-lubricate this. So again, this is called Flex Cable Prop Shaft 30 weight oil. Any oil will probably work okay, but Traxxas is kind enough to give us the right stuff. All you need is a little drop. We're going to do one on the rear here. Sneak one in the front. And Traxxas has also provided us, if I could turn this around for you guys, a small oiling hole right there, right in the strut. You can see it there, my finger's on it. So you can take your oil and give it a few drops right in there, and that allows the shaft to be floating a little bit of oil. It'll help keep the water out, kind of waterproof your shaft for you a little bit so you get a lot of run time on it. Okay, so we have this part of the boat lubricated. I'm going to actually set this aside for now. And we're going to focus on the power module. What do we have to lube on here, do you ask? Well, the motor. Yes, this is a waterproof motor, but water gets in everything over time. You guys know that. So what we're going to do is put a drop on both bearings, the rear and the front of the motor bearings. Same oil we used before. Squeeze a small drop in there. And on the rear. Just like so. Turn it around, work it in a little bit. And we got that lubed up. Okay, now that our motor is all set, clean this off. We can grab our shaft that I cleaned earlier. It's nice and dry now. And we're going to take the oil and give it a nice rub down. Now, you don't want to use too much, but just enough to coat it. So I'm going to put a few drops along here. And you can use whatever you'd like to spread it around. I'm going to use my fingers. Just give it a nice coat of oil. And you know, oil helps lubricate it as well as keep the water off of it so it doesn't rust. Alright, so we have this lubricated. Our motor's lubricated. Our shaft strut is lubricated, and now we're ready to put it all back together. Grab your cable and shaft, feed it back through the strut, like so. Grab your power module, take the end of your cable and feed it through the tube. Once you got it where you like her, just lock it back in place. And you'll see here the Teflon tube in our stuffing tube is pushed forward. So I'm going to back this off, grab that tube and push it back down. We only want the cable coming through. So you might have to play with it a little bit, hold the tube back while you push the cable back in. If you've done it right, it's going to look just like that. You can see that the cable is now on the collet and that Teflon tube is pushed back. So we take our wrenches, lock that collet back down, give it a few good turns. You don't want this coming loose while you're in the water or your day is over. Nice and tight. We're going to lift this up slightly. What you're going to do is grab these blocks and stick them right underneath. And they're going to kind of hold themselves in place for you, one on each side. Locks in place. Then you take your two screws, put them back in, tighten that down. And we got our steering rod, we're going to put that back in place. Tighten that down, and you're good to go. That's all there is to it, guys. Again, anytime you're running your boat, it's a good idea to spray it out, keep the water out of it so you don't have to worry about rusting. But every hour or so run time, it's a good idea to remove the shaft like this, spray everything clean, dry it off, re-lube it, and put it back together. You do that every time, you'll have a boat that lasts a long time, gives you great performance. That's it for this tutorial, guys. If you have any questions, comment below, or you can post up at RC Nightmare forums. We'll get all your questions answered there. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.